After almost an entire year of being closed, the Disneyland Resort is weighing in officially on what's going to happen to annual pass holders, its biggest visiting base. Hey, before we get started with this breaking news, a reminder, make sure that you're subscribed to us with that notification bell turned on so that you never miss a news update or any of the vlogs that we have from the theme parks. And if you haven't done so already, ensure that thumbs up button is firmly pressed. Hello everybody, Wade for the Kingdom Report here with some unbelievable news. Los Angeles Times is reporting that Disneyland is scrapping its annual pass program. They write, the Disneyland and Disney California Adventure theme parks, closed for nearly a year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, are ending their annual pass program as we know it. The popular multi-tiered ticketing system, which shifted the culture of the two Anaheim theme parks in a way that it became a daily, weekly, or monthly hangout for many Southern Californians, is being axed. The annual pass program will eventually be replaced with new membership offerings, Disneyland Resort President Ken Potrock told reporters Thursday. Potrock offered no timeline for the future offerings, citing the unpredictability of the current environment. The surge of COVID-19 cases gripping Southern California prevents theme parks from knowing when they will reopen or what restrictions they'll face once they do. In ending the annual pass program, refunds will be given automatically to those who paid for days beyond the park's closure last March. Walt Disney Company is looking ahead to operating the parks at a reduced reservation-only capacity when California lets them reopen. But the move hits the park's most dedicated and loyal fans with uncertainty. Although Disney does not release attendance figures, the annual pass program has long been believed to hover around 1 million. Those fans who have been wanting and expecting a Disneyland fix now face the prospect of no longer being given priority access when the park reopens and holding their breath to see how the reimagined membership program will look. A replacement for the annual pass program is not expected to be implemented until the pandemic recedes enough for Disneyland Resort to welcome guests at or near its pre-coronavirus levels of attendance. Potrock said that long-term, he believed this move would be a, quote, silver lining of the pandemic for Disney, an opportunity to shape a better program suited to many of Disneyland's fans, whose financial circumstances may have changed recently, while also potentially having more flexible tiers for those who don't necessarily consider themselves park regulars. Quote, a nice part of this is creating a variety of different ways for people to access the park, Potrock said. If they want to come every single day, do we have a program that allows them to do that? If they want to come midweek, do we have a program that allows them to do that? The change will not affect Florida's Walt Disney World Resort, but visitors who hold a Premier Tier Pass, which grants entry to parks on both coasts, are to lose their California park admission benefits and receive refunds if applicable. Those who held an annual pass that was active after the park's closure of March 14th of last year will continue to receive food and beverage discounts for the foreseeable future at the Downtown Disney restaurant and shopping area adjacent to the Anaheim parks and at California Adventure's Buena Vista Street. In hopes of encouraging current pass holders to continue to visit Downtown Disney, they will also be granted a 30% discount on select merchandise from certain stores on Mondays through Thursdays through February 25th. Thursday's move echoes that of Tokyo Disneyland, operated by Oriental Land Company, which ended its annual pass program in October. For much of 2020, Disneyland executives, along with California's other theme park operators, pressured Governor Gavin Newsom to let the parks reopen. But in the fall, Newsom issued guidelines that tied the reopening of the parks to the infection rates and number of COVID-19 cases per 100,000 residents in the counties that are home to the parks, as well as to an equity benchmark. Disney laid off or furloughed more than 100,000 workers last year, in some cases blaming California's pandemic and their safety rules. Although Disney parks in some parts of the world have reopened, the pandemic has hit the company's park segment hard. In its most recent fiscal year, which ended October the 3rd, the segment posted an $81 million operating loss compared with $6.76 billion in operating income the year before. Disneyland's reopening probably remains several months away. The timing depends in part on local residents' ability to exercise precautions that slow the spread of the coronavirus and on the speed of vaccine distribution. Many of those vaccinations will take place in one of Disneyland's parking lots, which this week was set up as Orange County's first super vaccination site. Disneyland has been tinkering with its annual pass program in recent years in an effort to satisfy demand without hitting the park's capacity limits too much. In 2019, for instance, the resort added a $599 flex pass that allowed admission on traditionally lower demand days and required that pass holders make reservations in advance at other times. Annual passes specifically for Disneyland and Disney California Adventure were priced as high as $1,399 for Signature Plus tier, which allowed park access every day of the year. Once again, thank you to the Los Angeles Times for that report. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. After more than a year of asking the question, what will happen to the annual pass holder program, we now have our answer. Unfortunately, over 1 million people are going to be impacted by this sweeping decision, even the people with that coast-to-coast pass. Yeah, that is typically the top-tier pass that never gets impacted by the sweeping decisions underneath. When changes happen to those other tiered passes just below it, you never see much occur to that pass, but even that one is being impacted with this sweeping change. And we heard there from President Ken Potrock of the Disneyland Resort that they don't even intend in rolling out a new Disneyland Annual Passholder Program until they reach a capacity level that is much more comfortable, likely back to those pre-pandemic levels of capacity, likely when they are in a place where they can open up the gates to a full capacity again. I gotta say, it is kind of surprising, over 1 million people impacted by this. As of right now, Walt Disney World, which obviously a lot of people have to travel to, right? It's a destination that many people have to plan for. They can't just swing by after work, which is kind of what Disneyland has become known for. You even heard it there in the story from the LA Times. Walt Disney World is sort of being sustained by annual pass holders right now. A lot of annual pass holders are supplementing the crowd levels because most days, outside of the holidays that we saw and how they reach the capacity limits, most days the parks are open and they have more than they could possibly want in terms of reservation availability, and a lot of annual pass holders are kind of filling the gap right now. They weren't going to have that problem, I think, with Disneyland initially, and this is probably why they made that decision overall. Taking it back to 2019, the end of 2019, when I last served at the Disneyland Resort in a leadership capacity, I will tell you that it was often discussed that something had to be done about the annual pass holder program, that there were just too many annual passes out there, too many people that could potentially come in after work and fill the park up, and on many occasions via weekends and special events and holidays, you would see routinely the parks fill up to capacity. They'd have to close the gates of Disneyland Park and kind of encourage people to head on over to California Adventure. And we all kind of speculated when we saw the introduction of that Flex Pass, also referenced in the LA Times story that we just covered. The Flex Pass seemed to be where they were going in terms of how they wanted to manage things moving forward. I will tell you that with that reservation process with the Flex Pass, also, it was a much cheaper option. It was something where you were able to see whether or not a weekend was open or a weekday was open via the calendar. It was something they were experimenting with on the West Coast. It does sound like potentially that might be the route they're going. They need to control the annual pass holder crowd. It's been talked about for years. I know that the money that's come in, right, the revenue that's come in from the annual pass holder program has always been something that they've liked, because even with the annual pass holder supplemental payment plan, right, you could pay monthly for your annual pass if it was too much. They still always had money coming in that regard. Now, certainly, they don't make as much money per head on an annual pass holder as Disney would make on a traditional big spending tourist. So that is obviously something that they are looking at. That is clearly something that is playing into this overall sweeping decision. And they know that they don't want to have to deal with the huge crowds and the major demand that all of these 1 million annual pass holders are going to have when and if the parks do reopen in the near future. Certainly this is something that they needed to think about. They needed to make some dramatic decisions on, because 1 million people vying for just a handful of reservations, because we know they're going to do reservations to control the capacity, at least in the beginning. Those will be gobbled up instantly, and you're going to be disappointing a lot of individuals. And so something did have to be done, unfortunately. So I see that they were kind of put in a hard place between the COVID-19 pandemic and having 1 million people who want to get into that park. So I see this as a bit of a setback for annual pass holders that weren't willing to pay a whole lot in terms of the pass itself. I definitely think that we're going to see a premium pass, perhaps 2 passes. We'll see. Total speculation here, but I think we might see a premium pass be introduced, one that is overarching, that doesn't have blockout dates, or that is still required by reservations, even if it doesn't have necessarily all the blockout dates. I think you're still going to have a reservation to get in. And then I think a lower tier pass that will likely be blocked out on weekends and holidays, stuff like that. But I just can't see them going back to a place where they offer up so many passes with so many different tiers and so many different options. They don't have enough room to do that, especially as they go back to pre-pandemic levels eventually. They're going to have to decide how to manage the crowd right this time. Kind of in an interesting way, I guess the pandemic, as tragic as it's been, has given Disney an opportunity to sort of stop, collect themselves, understand that now's the time that they can reinvent the wheel when it comes to annual passes, and then potentially put things back in motion in an entirely different way. They can't survive without the annual pass holders, so that's the good news. They need the annual pass holder base. However, I think that limiting it a little bit more, revising it down just a smidge, is going to help them in the long run, especially for the comfort level of those big spending out-of-town tourists that are spending the big money on the day-to-day tickets. So I think they're about to find a balance when they kind of come up with this new program. They kind of create this new way of doing things. I do look forward to hearing what it is, but if anything, this entire story, this entire coming out with this news, this entire sweeping change, one thing I really like about this, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, and maybe this is just me being Mr. Wishful Thinking, I have a great feeling that they're making this change right now because they see the writing on the wall that they're going to be opening up soon. So, as sad as it is to lose the annual pass holder program as we know it, and as sad as it is to see it go, I definitely think that this has been announced right now because they anticipate we are getting closer to a date where they are going to be officially reopening. A lot of people are predicting that it will likely be this spring. They won't go a full year staying closed, and that there will be an opportunity for them to reopen in a phased capacity closer to springtime, especially with vaccines rolling out right there on campus at Disneyland right now, as you heard in the LA Times story. So at any rate, let me know in the comments section down below what you think. Are you somebody that is excited to see a new program roll out? Are you somebody that's disappointed to know that annual passes are gone as we know it? What do you predict will happen, most of all? Do you imagine that this program is going to be affordable? Do you think this is going to be something that everybody can do? Or do you think it's going to restrict absolutely everyone and only the richest among us get to go back to Disneyland? Let me know in the comment section. Would love to hear your perspective. Hey, make sure that you are connected with us at all times so you never miss an update. Subscribe to the channel, make that notification bell yours by turning it on, and hit that thumbs up button to let us know that you appreciate the breaking news updates, and we will be doing plenty more for you in the future if that's the case. For the Kingdom Report, I'm Wade Heath. We will talk to you again very soon.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.